Let's get started by loading a pad synth. I'll go to Sounds in the browser and choose Pad. I want you to choose a pad synth that can play a 3-note chord. You have to try a few out because not all pad synths are created equal. Some are designed to sound best when playing one note at a time. For example, check out this X-ray vision patch. It's complex. It has pitch shifting and a little rhythmic pulse to it. One note sounds pretty good. Multiple notes, not so much. Here's a C chord with the same patch. Yuck. Okay, how about this one? Troposphere pad. It does sound nice with one note because the synth is generating additional notes around the note that I played. Here's what it sounds like when I play a 3-note chord though. See, you didn't just hear the 3 notes I was playing. You heard those 3 notes plus all the computer-generated notes that were programmed into the patch, and they kind of clash, so this won't work. Here's one that I like. Vocal Coalition. Single notes sound good, as do full chords. So go ahead and find a pad sound that you like. Come back to the video when you're happy. Okay, now we need some chords. We're going to be using an F chord and a G chord to explore these modal chord progressions, and you can use whatever inversions of those chords that you like. Here's a simple F chord in root position going to a G chord in root position. Notice that they are a whole step apart. I'm going to move the top note in both of these voicings down an octave to create an inversion. So instead of my F chord being spelled F-A-C, it'll be like this. C-F-A. It's still an F chord, and I can move all the notes in the chord one key to the right to move it up to the G chord, like this. Okay, time to record. I'm going to enable my metronome and set it to a 1-bar count off. Now I've got my hands on the piano keys, so I'm not going to use the mouse to start recording. Instead, I'm going to use the recording button on the Novation keyboard. Here we go. Okay, let's make sure I've got 2 bars in there. Good. Now for a little bit of Max for Live magic. To spice this pad up a bit, let's start with an LFO. Go to the browser and click on Max for Alive. In the content pane, you'll see 3 subcategories: Audio Effect, Instrument, and MIDI. Open up Audio Effect and find LFO. Make sure you're in device view and not clip view. You can shift tab to toggle between the 2 views. And then drag and drop the LFO to the right of the pad instrument. What you're seeing here is a waveform generated by our LFO, low frequency oscillator. We can use the movement of this waveform to control almost any other parameter in Live. Try it. Click on the map button on the LFO. It'll flash like this. And then click on something. How about the panning control for our pad sound? Cool, right? The panning control is moving back and forth. And if we play something, we'll hear it panning across our stereo field, like this. Now, we can specify the range of this control from 0 to 100%. In the case of the panning control, all the way to the left is 0, and all the way to the right is 100%. So if we wanted to pan from dead center to hard right, we would use a setting of about 50% to 100%, like this. Okay, I'm going to put the settings back to 0 and 100, and instead use the depth control to make the panning not so extreme. Alright, I'm also going to slow the effect down with this rate control. Notice that you can have the LFO match the grid settings, and therefore follow the tempo of the piece. Or you can select a real-time value in cycles per second, like this. We can apply this LFO to up to 8 other parameters by clicking the box in the upper right of the LFO window. Let's map it to the frequency, the filter frequency as well. I can select more by repeating this procedure. And I can unmap them by clicking the X next to the name of the parameter being modulated. Here's another thing. You are not limited to this one waveform shape. The sine wave is the default, but you can choose from any of these shapes in the drop-down list. Let's choose up, which is really a sawtooth wave. Notice that the parameter follows the shape of the wave. In the sine wave, it's a gradual rise and fall. In up, we have a gradual rise and then an instantaneous fall. The square wave has no fade in at all, just on and off, a quick switch between the two sets of values. Let's say, though, we want to add a little variation to this. This jitter control keeps the shape essentially the same, but it adds a little wiggle to it. The smooth parameter next to it softens the jitter just a little bit. I can essentially turn this square wave into a sine wave with the jitter and smooth settings. So you see, you have a lot of control over the shape of your LFO. For credit on this project, select your pad sound, record 2 bars of an F chord moving to a G chord, and then apply the Max for Live LFO and automate some parameters with it. Call me over to your workstation when you're done so I can check it out. Then we'll move on to the next lesson. Good luck.